Hi everyone, welcome to Tridge March webinar. We will just wait a couple of minutes for everybody to pitch in. Okay, let's wait one more minute for everybody to join, and we can start with the webinar. Okay, okay, we can officially start. Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to you all. Welcome to our webinar on innovations and market trends in the global pasta industry. I am your host, Bojan Mijatovic, a global market analyst in the intelligence department here at Tridge. We have a very diverse group here today at various time zones across the world, and we are very excited to have you join us today. Who we are and what we do. So at Ridge, we are building a trusted global trade community in the food and agriculture industry by blending professional networks with advanced data and intelligence. Our mission is to be the leading platform for sourcing solutions. Tridge Data Solution is a global business-to-business marketplace tailored for agribusinesses, enabling buyers and suppliers to form lasting trust-based relationships. Our platform ensures credibility through a robust two-way trust system, verifying both buyers and suppliers to save time and protect against fraud. With built-in features that make global trade easier and more secure, Tridge fosters authentic engagement through social elements like news feeds, comments, encouraging meaningful and long-term relationships. Powered by actionable data and analytics, our platform delivers reliable insights for smart decision-making and business growth. Our services include qualitative and quantitative data on food and agriculture to provide comprehensive solutions to our users. Some of the intelligence we provide include, but it's not limited to, trade reports, trade opinions, weekly updates, analysis, price data, weather data, trade data, which helps clients enhance their decision-making skills. Tridge Intelligence and Solutions, please feel free to reach out to us via email or feel free to post questions in the chat section. We have created an agribusiness. Our data allow us to have specific buyers by matching purchasing requirements and promote your brand and products to particular importers and retailers through B2B marketing. Like it's tradition for all our webinars, for all the attendees we offer a certificate of attendance. In order to receive the certificate, you will need to fill out the survey, which will be shared with you after the presentation. Presentation, recording, and answers to your questions will be shared via email within 3 business days. To briefly go over the agenda for today, we will look over the global trends in the pasta industry, regional market insights, and of course, the panel discussion part. As mentioned before, I'm your host, Bojan Mijatovic, global market analyst here at Tridge, and the presenter will be our very own Gabriela Cabezas, our global market analyst from Ecuador. Also, you probably know our Ben from previous webinars. He's our global market analyst from South Africa. He will be a co-presenter as well as the panel discussion speaker, along with Ahmad Fatih Abdelkader, our quality control specialist from Egypt. So during the webinar, if you have any questions that you hope to be addressed, uh, please feel free to post in the chat section, and we will get to it after the panel discussion in the Q&A session. Now, we will welcome Gabi, who will present on innovations and market trends in the global pasta industry. Hello, Gabi. Please take over. Stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Gabriela Cabezas. I'm a global market analyst here at Tridge from Ecuador. And today we're going to do a quick overview of what's happening in the pasta market, what trends are making the pasta market grow. So if you have any questions at the end, if we have some time, we can answer them. But let's get started. So the global pasta industry has been growing steadily over the past years. The industry has been reaching many markets that in the past it was not very established, as globalization has been influencing its consumption. The global pasta market is projected to grow even further by a compound annual growth rate of 5.2% until 2032, when the industry is expected to reach $109.36 billion. This year, 2025, it's expected to reach $75.33 million. By 2028, it is expected to reach $88 billion and continue to grow further until we reach a higher growth until 2032. As of 2023, global pasta production approximately reached 17 million metric tons, and Italy led that production with 3.9 million metric tons. Italy is the biggest pasta producer. It has a lot of premium and special pastas, but the rest of the world is following along in the pasta production industry. And other top producers are the United States, Turkey, Egypt, and Brazil. Today we're going to discuss a couple of the key pasta market trends, especially in innovation, how the pasta industry is remaining relevant and growing. Some of them are the demand for convenient food products, the adoption of vegan and plant-based diets, the expansion of gluten-free pasta offerings, the rising demand for high-protein and functional pastas, innovation in organic and specialty pastas, and innovative pasta shapes and colors. Let's get started with one of the biggest trends in innovation for the pasta industry that we have seen over the past years. This trend is the demand for is the conveniency in the pasta industry. This comes due to the demand for convenient food products. This is not only for pasta, the demand for convenient food products is for many different types of foods, because of the fast-paced lifestyles are driving demand for convenient solutions. People don't have time to cook. People don't have time to spend making not only the pasta, but the sauces, everything that goes within the soups that include pasta. So they try to find easy and pre-cooked solutions that will help them with their busy lifestyle. Pasta is a staple choice for a quick and easy meal to prepare. And consumers sometimes seek convenience but without sacrificing taste and nutrition. So, on the past couple of years, there have been many companies that have created different types of pasta offerings that help with the ready-to-eat market and the busy consumers' lifestyles. There are some examples of ready-to-cook pasta and instant pasta. One very known globally is Maruchan. This comes along with the global trend of the instant noodles. that are not only created now in Asian countries like Korea, but are also created locally on many countries. The It doesn't go only with the dried pasta or dried instant pasta, but now there's also options for frozen pastas or frozen types of pastas with sauce already, that you put them in the oven, you put them on the microwave or on a quick pot, and they defreeze and are ready to eat. Also, something that has been very relevant for conveniency is the single serve meal kit innovations that are for people who don't have big families, who only need to cook for themselves. And this smaller packaging and meal kits are expanding. This portion kits include sauce, proteins, and simplify the meal prep. So for smaller households is preferred. And as well as the frozen and refrigerated pasta market that I convenient, and it helps consume pastas without having to spend a lot of time. Well, the pasta is something that cooks a little quicker, but the sauces and sides that go with it take a little longer. So it helps customers not have to spend so much time, and consumers can eat these types of products without having to spend a hefty amount of time cooking them. We're going to look quickly at the numbers for demand for ready-to-eat meals, global market size, how the market will be growing. It's worth noting that this is not specifically for pasta, it's for the market as a whole, but the same trend applies also for the ready-to-eat pasta demand. The global ready-to-eat food market was valued at $404.78 billion in 2024, and it's expected to grow to $629.74 billion by 2032 at a compound annual growth rate of 5.68%. It's expected that the ready-to-eat meals demand will be over the past couple of years, with Europe leading the market and holding a 33.41% market share in this demand. Let's go to the next relevant trend that it's driving innovation in pasta. There has been a growth in the demand for vegan and plant-based products as more consumers worldwide decide to adopt this diet fully, or to try to incorporate this diet in certain parts of their meals just to increase the nutrient intake, increase the consumption of, in this case, vegetables and plant-based products. So the innovation in the pasta has come from making the pasta from an alternative ingredients. Now there's pastas in the market that are made from chickpeas, lentils, quinoa, rice, and offer higher nutritional value, including more protein, fiber, and vitamins, as they include vegetables and grains on the pastas. So ethical and health motivations are one of the reasons why this trend is growing. Vegan pasta caters to those who are avoiding animal products and looking for an ethical, environmental products, and also for health reasons. And plant-based diets are gaining traction as consumers become more conscious of the environmental impact of food and production. Many of these pastas, for example, the pasta made out of rice, it becomes a gluten-free pasta for people who have gluten allergies or are celiac. So this becomes also an alternative for people who cannot eat wheat pasta. And the market growth is driven primarily by younger consumers. Younger generations, especially in the Western markets, are adopting a plant-based diet more commonly, and are prompting them through social media, and influencers are promoting these types of diets. Vegan influencers and media content creators are accelerating the demand for this type of plant-based pasta for the young demographic. There is also a growing trend on the market size of the vegan pasta global market. As you can see on the graph on the right, the vegan pasta market is projected to grow at a 10.10% compound annual growth rate from 2024 to 2032. In 2024, the global market, vegan market for pasta was $4.5 billion, and it's expected to grow up to $9.72 billion by the end of 2032. The market will continue expanding due to more consumers trying to adopt or trying to consume this type of pasta. So demand is increasing. So producers are trying to join this trend. Many big pasta producers um, like Barilla are creating now this type of plant-based pastas. The next trend worth mentioning is something that I touched on a little bit recently, and it's the expansion of the gluten-free pasta offerings. I mentioned that, for example, rice is a plant-based option, but it also is gluten-free. So gluten-free pasta options are increasing to meet the demand of gluten intolerant consumers or consumers that don't want to eat gluten to benefit their digestive health. Some alternatives, same as in the vegan market, are rice, corn, quinoa, and legumes pasta. These are becoming more common, not only on the grocery stores and on the shelf, but restaurants are also offering these types of pastas. So consumers who have a gluten-free allergy can still enjoy the flavor and the richness of a good and a nicely prepared pasta, but with a gluten-free offering. So this gluten-free market is growing due to the health and dietary trends, as I mentioned. Um, Over the past years, the people who have been diagnosed with sensitivity or celiac disease over the world have been increasing. So this has prompted the innovation not only for gluten-free products on the pasta industry, but also on many other industries. And the growing of clean eating and wellness trends is also boosting this demand for people who do not necessarily have to reduce the consumption of gluten for a health reason, but they reduce it due to a personal choice. And there is market growth and product innovation. Over the past couple of years, the options for gluten-free pasta are getting better. Some of these pastas were probably not very tasteful. The texture was not the same as a pasta gluten. Over a couple of years, they come better. They have a texture. The taste is better. Don't even taste as if it is gluten free. I've tried some of them, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a gluten free pasta and a normal pasta. So the new flavors, ingredients, or shape are being introduced to the market to influence consumers and attract their demand. So same as the trends we've analyzed before, the gluten-free pasta market is also growing at a constant rate, and it's also expected to keep growing up the upcoming years. The gluten-free pasta market was valued at $2.74 billion in 2024 and is set for a strong growth of a compound annual growth rate of 7.3% annually until 2034, and it's expected to reach $5.54 billion in 2034 and 25 global demand or the global market size for gluten-free pasta. It's expected to be at almost $3 billion at $2.94 billion. Something that goes along with the health consciousness and health trends of consumers is the growing demand for high-protein diets. Many consumers globally are trying to consume more protein on their daily life, and they reduce that into their diets not only by consuming meats, but also consuming other types of products or processed products that include are high in protein or have other functional ingredients. So the high protein pastas are made from lentils, chickpeas, and peas. Sometimes they also have whey protein included or any other types of protein included on the so they will increase in the protein percentage. And this functional pasta also with fiber, omega-3s, and other probiotics. Health consciousness and consumer trends are driving this demand. People are seeking products with higher nutritional benefits and higher protein, and health enthusiasts are buying these types of products. Manufacturers are developing this innovative and nutritious pasta demands. As you can, there is many companies who are known pastas that are offering already increased protein pastas. And these new products are catering to consumers who are looking for healthier alternatives to traditional pastas. So the protein fortified pasta global market is also growing at a smaller trend than at a smaller percentage than some of the other categories that we have discussed. But the global protein fortified noodles and pasta market was at $1.09 billion in 2024. It's expected to reach $1.13 billion this year, and it's expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 3.7% until 2030 and to reach $1.35 billion. So the next trend we're going to look at is the innovation in organic and specialty pastas. There are many, same as some of the other trends that we have discussed. The organic and the specialty pasta, the organic trend is not only on the pasta market, but also on many other processed foods. So the innovation in the organic and the specialty pasta market is driven by the demand for organic products made from organic wheat and other organic grains that are increasing. The specialty pasta varieties, like those are made also from quinoa, are gaining popularity worldwide. It's worth to note that every single ingredient that goes into these pastas have organic certification. So the pasta can be labeled as organic. The health consciousness in consumers is driving this demand. People are trying to consume products that are made from organic products and non-GMO ingredients. These products come from the organic approach that are consumers looking to consume to ingest products that have very little chemical usage or that don't have any cross-contaminations. Products development and market expansion has been growing, with manufacturers in the innovating a wider range of pasta with growth in the specific market. The growth in the organic pasta global market is also shown as in many other of the categories we've discussed, but this is at a higher compound annual growth rate of 9.7% from 2024 to 2030. In 2024, this market was $910 million, and it's expected to grow at this rate until it reaches $1.59 billion by 2030. Lastly, I want to discuss another trend that is being seen in the different market, and it is not probably as technical as the other ones we have discussed, but this trend has been seen across the world lately, and it's the innovation in the pasta shapes and colors that are appealing to children and family. Now we can find own brands and also of small retailers that there is a lot of innovative pasta shapes and colors. As you can see on the right, there's Mickey Mouse pastas, there is princess pastas. During Christmas times or other holidays, there are pastas that are that have the shapes that align with those holidays, and manufacturers are creating these unique shapes to attract consumers, especially young consumers, to consume their products instead of others. Other examples are colored pastas that are gaining popularity, and some of the ingredients used to color these pastas are spinach, beetroot, tomato, and other products that fruits and vegetables that can give colors to these pastas. As I mentioned earlier, the fun, creative, and pasta shapes are particularly appealing to children and families. These options are visually appealing and can enhance the meal experience. Some of these pastas are also enriched with extra nutrients, antioxidants, and vitamins that also attract parents to give this to their children or consume it themselves. Now I want to pass along the presentation to my colleague Ben. He will be discussing a little bit more about the pasta industry and the specific trends on the different regions globally.
Thank you, Gabby. Yes, like Gabby said, I will jump into some regional insights, looking at some countries specifically or in comparison to other countries. So this data and the insights that come from this data come directly from our retail intelligence reports. We write a retail intelligence report on pasta, so this data comes directly from that. So if you're interested in further insights or further data on pasta, please feel free to check out our platform for our pasta reports. We write a pasta report every quarter, and we release the data with some minor new insights and noteworthy products that we find on a monthly basis. So we release data on a monthly basis, and then we write a quarterly report on pasta, among other products. One similar to pasta is instant noodles that we do. So feel free to check those out. So the first thing I want to get into is the country of origin cross-country analysis. And what we measure here is the reliance of a country on its domestic production versus the imports in terms of pasta. So how much of its products and brands originate within its own borders, and how much of it imports. This we base on retailer data that we gather from the different countries. The countries we cover, and we're going to cover in this section, are the US, the UK, Japan, Korea, Germany, France, Italy, Mexico, and Australia. So certain countries rely heavily on their domestic production and their brands, and the highest one is Italy at 95%. Australia also relies heavily on some of its domestic brands, and then Japan as well. So Italy makes complete sense. They are the largest pasta producer in the world. So it makes complete sense that the majority of their pasta originate from within their borders. Japan is an interesting one that shows a high preference for domestic production. The primary reason for this is that Japan in general has a high preference, or Japanese consumers have a high preference for domestic brands. So they prefer their domestic brands, and this is a trend that we find across different retail categories. So the reason for Japan's high dependence is simply preference for domestic brands. And in Australia, also an interesting one. In Australia, their high dependence is mostly driven by house brands in retailers such as Woolworths. The house brands offer a fantastic alternative to the branded products. They are oftentimes cheaper as well. So in Australia, we find there's a high preference for house brands, which explains the high dependence on domestic brands in production. On the other side, you find countries that have a heavy dependence on imports. Countries such as the UK at 90%, Korea at 85%, Germany and Mexico. These countries exhibit a heavy reliance on foreign or imported pasta. And the primary reason for this is that these countries simply consume a lot more pasta than their domestic industries can produce. Now, this opens them up to some risks in terms of supply chain disruptions, price volatility, um, geopolitical instability. But in general, the pasta industry is relatively stable. So we don't see this as a major problem. It does open it up to some of these risks, but pasta is not that perishable of a product. It has a relatively long shelf life, so these are not major concerns, but it does mean that certain countries import a large portion of their pasta that they consume. Now, if we take a closer look at Italy, which has a high dependence on its own production at 95%. This makes complete sense in the case of Italy. Like Italy is the largest producer at 3.9 million metric tons against a global production of 17 million metric tons. So Italy is responsible for 23% of global production. In essence, they simply produce a very large amount of pasta, but they also export the majority of this pasta. So they are also the world's largest exporter at 2.4 million metric tons and to the value of about $4.4 billion. So they export just below 30% of their volume, and they're are responsible for about 30% of global exports in terms of volume and in terms of value. Now, Italy is also the largest consumer of pasta at 23.3 kilograms per capita on an annualized basis. This is quite a bit higher than the next closest country of Tunisia at 17 kilograms. And this is much higher than their other European counterparts. The closest one is Greece at 12.2 kilograms. And for most other European countries, it's about 9 kilograms per capita and lower. So Italy simply produces a large amount of pasta. They consume a large amount of pasta, and they also export a large amount of pasta. So they have no real need to import any pasta. In this case, it makes complete sense that Italy relies heavily on its own production. And since Italian pasta is so well known across the world, there is no real need for them to import any of it. But their other European counterparts rely heavily on their production. So if we look at the case of the UK and Germany, for example, the UK, in our analysis or the data that we have available, import about 90% of their pasta from Italy, and in Germany it's about 75%. This is based on the retail data that we can see. And the primary reason for this is that their local pasta industries are simply not that well developed, while they still consume a relatively large amount of pasta. And since Italy is relatively close by with close proximity and good trade relations. They can simply import the pasta from Italy, so they have easy access to Italian pasta. They have no real need to produce large amounts of pasta on their own. And they are also major importers. Like Germany is the second largest global importer of pasta after the US. But in Germany's case, it's also a relatively large producer, or it's a relatively large producer. They're the 10th largest producer. But if they keep all of their production in country, they still import twice as much as they produce, which means they cannot rely on their domestic production alone, even if they keep all of their pasta in country. They still import twice as much as they produce. The UK is almost non-existent in terms of production. They produce about 35,000 metric tons, while they import over 500,000 metric tons. So these countries are simply net importers of pasta, and then they rely heavily on Italian pastas. They rely heavily on Italy for its production. Another thing that I want to look at from our retail data is simply our average price for products. So if you look at the graph on the right-hand side, you can see very large discrepancies of what pasta products cost within the various countries that we analyze. Mexico is a massive outlier. At 51, at more than $50 on average per product. Now, if we this is compared to an average across the countries of $13.2 per product. If we exclude Mexico, that average drops to around 8.38. The primary reason for in our data, at least, the very high in Mexico is simply that there are very expensive pasta products in our data set, some of them excluding $100 per product. And some other countries with high average prices are the US, Japan, and Germany. Countries with low prices are countries like the UK, Korea, Italy, Australia, and France is slightly higher, but it's still considered low in terms of an average price per product. Now, if we look at the average price per unit, now we take the prices, we take the packaging volumes, and then we work out an average price per unit or per 100 grams. We see that our average unit price is around 2.54. Mexico, again, is an outlier. If we leave out Mexico, we get an average price of around $1.6 per 100 grams. Now, again, Mexico, it has very high priced products, so that explains its outlier. But countries that have very high prices, if we work it back to a unit price, is the US. The US is very expensive when it comes to price per unit. Groceries are relatively expensive in the US in general, and Japan is second highest at $3.45 per 100 gram. Japan relies heavily on its domestic brands and products, and these domestic brands are in general very expensive. We find that oftentimes in Japan, imported products are less expensive, whereas their domestic brands are very expensive. Grocery prices in these countries are simply high, and it explains their high prices. The rest of the countries outside of Germany, so if we look at the UK, Korea, France, Italy, and Australia, we can see their prices are about $0.5 and below, with Germany being slightly higher. The reason for the slightly higher price in Germany is that they are a big fan of organic production and organically produced products. And this organically produced products, they have higher production costs, and it simply drives up the prices. If we look at our average packaging size, now this is the total packaging size of a product. So if we have, say, 500-gram packages in one SKU, then that is counted together. So this does not refer to the average packaging size of an individual packet of pasta, but rather what the SKU on the retailer's website or in its data set is. If we look at the average packaging sizes, we can see that the average across the 9 countries that we analyze here is just below a kilogram on average. Japan is a big outlier, with its average packaging size being twice the average, at about 2.3 kilograms. And this is for 2 primary reasons. The first is that the packaging sizes, if we look at the individual products themselves, are higher. But in Japan, multi-pack solutions are very popular. So they have big packaging sizes, but then they offer multi-pack solutions as well. And that indicates a clear consumer trend there, where consumers prefer to buy in bulk, more in bulk. Then in Germany and the US, we also find quite high packaging sizes. This is two-pronged. It is some multi-pack solutions, but also just larger packages of pasta. And this indicates clear consumer preferences for larger packages. So when producers and brands target these countries, this is something to take into account. And this is in a high contrast with countries such as Italy and Australia. We have packaging sizes around 400 grams. This also indicates a clear preference for more frequent and smaller purchases. I think in the case of Italy, where pasta consumption is very high, it makes sense to just buy pasta more frequently if you're looking for fresh pasta or variation. But if you look at your packaging sizes in relation to your average prices per product, it does explain why certain countries have high prices as well. We need to take the packaging sizes, the large packaging sizes, into account. And that is why we prefer to look at your average price per unit when analyzing the prices. So the average packaging size is a very interesting thing to look at as well. This indicates what the consumer's preferences are for their packaging sizes, and it also gives an indication of what their consumption and well, at least their buying habits are. So brands and manufacturers targeting these different countries can take this into account and adapt to the individual market preferences. And the last thing I want to touch on is just products and trends. Gabby covered all of these already, but when looking at the data, I found some interesting examples of products. One is the Banza gluten-free chickpea pasta, and this caters to, as Gabby mentioned, the gluten-free preferences of consumers, the alternative and innovative ingredients that are used, and it offers a low-carb, high-protein solution. So it indicates, or is an indication, that consumers are looking for healthier alternatives with higher nutritional value, and the Steiner's low carb, high protein noodles caters to this same market. And then this Pastability Taste fun shaped pasta for kids also indicates that you can modify the shapes and the sizes of the pasta to fit consumption needs. And there's pasta specifically targeted toward kids, and this is marketed as being able to be used for arts and crafts, and then marketed to parents who are health conscious. It relies on natural non-GMO ingredients. It's kosher. it's egg and nut free. So this is clearly targeted at health conscious parents. Yeah, so I think that one of the big trends is health consciousness and the dietary preferences of consumers. And that's it from my side, Bojan. Handing back to you.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you also, Gabby and Ben, for a wonderful presentation and your overview on innovations and market trends in the global pasta industry. Summarize briefly, Gabby shared with us global pasta market projections or growth and the size of the global pasta market. And Ben specifically mentioned the main markets, the main producers, main target countries, regional preferences vary, which Ben explained for Japan, Australia, US, and Mexico. Thank you very much for your insightful and detailed presentation. Now we will move forward to the panel discussion. Again, during the panel discussion, if you have any questions, please post the questions on the chat section and we will address them during the Q&A session after the panel discussion. Also, I have to remind you that there's a link to the survey. Please fill out and write any feedback to improve future webinars. So the first question for the panel discussion part is what factors drive the renewed interest in traditional and artisanal pasta, and how can producers capitalize on this trend? Ben, would you like to share your insight on this matter?
Yes, I'm more than happy to. I think if we look at data from the International Pasta Organization, it indicates that global pasta production has grown 85% over the past 25 years to, as Gabby mentioned, 17 million metric tons annually at the moment. And I think one of the major drivers in recent years is simply the rise of vegan and plant-based diets. And I think this is driven by ethical, environmental, and health-related concerns. Gabby touched on all of this. Many people are choosing vegan and plant-based and more flexitarian diets because they want to avoid factory farming, animal suffering, and so on. There's increased environmental concerns. Many people are the opinion that the environmental footprint of plant-based diets are a lot lower compared to meat-heavy diets, and that it reduces greenhouse gas emissions, etc. So there's the environmental concern aspect, and then there's also the health aspect. So plant-based diets are associated with positive health outcomes, such as reduced risk of certain diseases. Heart diseases is one of them. So I think this is a major driver of increased pasta consumption. With that being said, traditional pasta is a carbohydrate heavy food, and it is high in gluten. These two aspects, some people prefer to not eat high carb diets, or they want to reduce their gluten intake or eat gluten free, either as part of their dietary preference or gluten sensitivity, for example. But people are looking for better carbohydrates, and then these gluten free options, higher protein options, higher fiber options. In essence, they're looking for higher nutritional profiles in their pasta options. And the pasta industry has responded very well to this by offering gluten-free options, by using alternative ingredients, corn flour, chickpea flour, rice flour, for example. There's higher protein options also. If you use different flours, such as chickpea and soy flour, you can drive up the protein content of your pasta. You can also do lower carb options, almond, coconut, soy flour again. You can increase the fiber content of your pasta with whole wheat flour. These are all innovations on the ingredient side that can boost the nutritional values of pasta and overcome the traditional criticism or criticism of pasta in terms of its health and impact on diets. So I think the rise in vegan and plant-based diets is a major driver of increased pasta consumption, and then the fact that the pasta industry has responded very well um, with consumers' desires for higher nutritional profiles in their pasta. I think these are two of the major drivers of increased interest in pasta. There are quite a lot of others, but I think those are two big ones.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Emad, can you please introduce yourself just briefly? I know people who follow our webinar know you from our previous events, but just please briefly introduce yourself and tackle the first question.
Okay. Hello. My name is Iman Fatmi. I am working as a quality control specialist under fulfillment team in Tridge. Regarding to this question, there is a big two difference between the artisan and traditional pasta manufacturing. The artisan is made by hand by traditional method in preparation and made from high quality protein, the durum protein with semolina, which extrude from the bronze die and give rough texture. This rough texture give a hold the sauce and also dry it slowly at low temperature compared with the traditional one, which can give also help to preserve the flavor and nutritional value. So the difference is in preparation and flavor. The preparation is by manual, but in traditional pasta, it is prepared by machine and the drying production line. The other one is flavor and taste in artisan. It is good and very high compared with the drying process, which eliminates the flavor and the taste regarding to the drying processing. So the flavor and the taste in traditional pasta is very low. Thanks.
Thank you, Emad. We will now move on to the second question. How can technology and innovation help improve pasta production and benefit smaller producers? Ben, can you add your insights to this matter?
Yes, certainly. I just remember that I completely forgot to introduce myself. Um, but I think
Most of the
we
people
can.
who follow our webinars know you, Ben, from previous events.
Yes, I completely forgot to introduce myself, so I apologize. Um, but I think let's delve into the question itself. So on the technology and innovation front, so consumers are, as I mentioned, they are getting more concerned with sustainability side of things, environmental impact, and the health aspect of the food that they consume. So I think one of the major things that can be done from the producer side, and especially I think this is very relevant for small producers, is simply supply chain visibility and transparency. So if you're going for I think clear ingredient and ingredient free labeling and communication is very important. So um, if your pasta is free of certain ingredients, or if it's made from specific ingredients that have certain benefits, I think this should be clearly communicated, not only just in your packaging, but in your marketing and social campaigns as well. I think the leverage of social media platforms is fantastic for this, and this should be very clearly communicated. But on the supply chain and transparency side, I think things like carbon footprint tracking, and ingredient sourcing and origin tracking, so where your ingredients come from. If you can track your ingredients from farm to table and show that you are ethically sourcing ingredients, not making use of unfair labor practices or the companies that you source from, or the way that the pasta is produced, or the ingredients for the pasta are produced, is done in a sustainable and ethical manner. I think that is fantastic, and that is what consumers want to see. They want to know that the food on their plate is ethically sourced, and if you can monitor that in your supply chain and you can communicate it to your consumers, that is a major benefit. And then new flavor and ingredient innovations. There are so many ingredients that can be used as base ingredients in pasta: lentils, chickpeas, corn, rice. There's so many different ingredients and innovations and ingredients. There's even algae infused pastas on the market. So these are all innovations that small producers can leverage. They are a little bit more nimble. They can try out these different formulations. Um, I think that is something that small producers can definitely leverage to achieve these high protein, high fiber, low carb pastas that are showing to be growing faster than the industry average. Small producers can jump in to these niches or gaps faster than the major producers can. Then flavor and shape innovations as well. You can have flavor infusions in your pasta. On the ingredient innovation side, apart from your legume and grain based pastas, there are vegetable based pasta. I know there's cauliflower pasta, broccoli pasta, peas. It's made from green peas, I think, as well. So there's so many different flavor and ingredient variations, and you can simply leverage certain shapes, such as Gabby mentioned, targeted at or promoted to kids. You can do fun shapes for children, for example. You can do it for special occasions. I think smaller producers can really leverage these practices to flourish in the pasta industry, especially on the ingredient innovation side of things.
Great. Thanks, Ben. Ahmad, can you also add your point of view?
Yes, regarding to the classification for the technology and innovation in the pasta manufacturing, we can classify it regarding to five way according to the raw material. The main raw material used is water and the egg and the flour. But nowadays there is a new change to using soft and hard wheat and the bucket wheat, also using maize flour or rice flour, also using some legumes and alternative flour as Ben and Gabriela mentioned. Also, there is some added for the dairy and the vegetable and the fruit to mixing with the flour. Also, the second one is the shape. There is the normal shape is longer cut and short cut and the fresh pasta, but there is some special shape now like nest, which like a noodle type. Also stamp and punched like a butterfly type, the flat like lasagna type, and Asian like noodles type. If we classify also according to the preparation for the pasta, there is some mixing for the normal short on or long cut type. There is stamping and punch like a butterfly, as we mentioned. There is cutting also for preparation like spaghetti and resting processing like noodles. And there is other preparation way like lamination and grinding. It is for also for the noodles. The extrusion and kneading for the dry pasta, and the forming give a different shape for dry pasta. If we classify according to the processing industry, like drying, it is a normal for the dry one for the long or short cut. There is also using toasting processing for noodles. There is a new technology for using the steam. It is mainly used for sterilization, and it can be used for the fresh pasta to increase the shelf life. Also, the frozen mechanism, it is used for the pasta ready meal which using in the supermarket. The cooking is used for pre-cooking pasta prepared. This is one of the type. And also the sterilization, it is used for the canned pasta, which can be used with soup and pasta also in one cup. Also, there is a new technology for the five-way. It is for the packing. Now there is a new packing technology for the packing for the pasta final product, like el pillow bag, like a flow bag, like a cup which used for noodles, and also for adding some seasonal the different flavor. Also, there is MAB vacuum. It is abbreviation for modified atmospheric vacuum, which you can keep the product for long term. Like a fresh pasta, it can be extend the shelf life from 7 to 13 days. Also canning for the soup and the pasta, and the secondary bag for the stretch and different overbag used for the covers manufacture. This is from my side.
Thank you, Ahmad. We are staying with you for our last and third question. How can pasta industry meet consumer demands for healthier, tastier, and more sustainable products? Can you please
Yes,
continue, Ahmad?
yes. I think now from regarding to the National Pasta Association, it has mentioned that the glycemic index is a key factor which indicate the effectiveness of the pasta in the healthy, because the pasta record a lowest glycemic index range from 15 to 55, which means that it is slow absorbed and slow digestion, which lead to low blood sugar and low insulin level. And also the other factor, it is cooked or cool pasta. It includes resistant starch, which give low calorie and enhance the reduce the blood sugar, and also reduce the obesity and diabetes, regarding to the new study from the National Pasta Association. Also, as we know, fresh pasta, it is used by a small batch, and there is low amount of raw material used with low price. So it is give a good product with good flavor and taste, and it didn't use a large resource. So it is a more sustainable type of product compared with the traditional and the commercial one, which used a high volume of flour, have how high volume of raw material, and there is a high waste resulting from the production line, and consumed high energy and high packaging material, which affect, as Ben and Gabriel mentioned, about the carbon footprint, and affect the natural consumption of the resource. So it is the fresh pasta and artisan. It is more sustainable than the commercial pasta manufacture. Thanks.
Thank you, Ahmad. Ben, the closure for the third question is yours.
Thanks, Bojan. Yeah, I think if we look at the healthier side, I think the primary thing that producers, pasta producers can do is ingredient selection on the healthier side. There's so many options depending on what characteristics you want in your pasta. So I think there are tons of ingredients that producers can choose, alternative ingredients to wheat flour that can be used to make pasta healthier. Now, whether you want to increase the protein content, you want to um, a completely plant-based or vegan option, you want a gluten-free option. This, whatever you want to achieve, will will dictate your ingredients selection. But there are so many ingredients or alternative ingredients to choose from. to emphasize each of the health benefits. You want to lower carbs, increase protein. I think the primary thing is to consider alternative ingredients that would then achieve the health benefits or health gain or increase nutritional profile that you want. On the tastier side or the taste side, the ingredient selection will definitely change the taste of your pasta. So certain of these or the majority of these ingredients are going to change the way that your pasta tastes if you go with an alternative ingredient to wheat flour. And that needs to be worked into your equation. Now, for some of the ingredients, if you select them, they are going to distinctly change the taste of your pasta. If it's not to the liking of the consumer, you can always do flavor infusions into your pasta or work in more tasty ingredients, say healthy, tastier ingredients into your formulations to make your pasta more tasty. So sometimes if you're going the healthier route, you are going to distinctly change the taste of your pasta. And that is another obstacle to overcome. But luckily, on the pasta side of things, you have many options to work into your ingredient selection. And I think producers need to play around with this ingredient formulations to find a combination that works for the consumers they are looking to target. On the sustainability side, I think we've gone through this quite a bit. Sustainable packaging, sustainable business practices, I think, is the major one. On the production side, I think you can look at lowering your water consumption. But if you're just looking at a pasta producer in general that is just responsible for producing their pasta themselves, some of the easy wins that they can make is looking at more sustainable packaging, as I would say. I think that's the primary one to look at, and then look further back into your supply chain to source your ingredients from producers that also implement sustainable business practices, whether that is tracking carbon footprint and making sure that it's low as possible with lower water consumption, whether that's on the ethical side, ensuring workers are paid fair wages, your impact on the environment is as low as possible. So I think using sustainable packaging is a relatively easy one to focus on, and then you can broaden it into the rest of your supply chain by focusing on ESG principles, lowering your environmental impact, making sure that you have a positive impact, and just making sure that your governance structure within your organization and supply chain is pretty good.
Thanks, Ben. Really insightful. So this is it for the panel discussion part. Thank you, Ben and Emad, for your insights. Let's now proceed for the Q&A session. We touched that a little bit regarding on when we answered the second question, but we have one question from our attendee, Azur Ibrahim. He asked, can cassava flour be used to innovate in pasta production? Emad, can you please tackle this? And Ben, just briefly.
Okay. Regarding to the question from Mr. Azur Ibrahim about using the cassava flour in innovation for pasta manufacturing, the problem for there is some research about using cassava in flour in pasta manufacturing, but it need to be added in composite flour with the main flour like wheat, durum wheat, or durum satava, because the problem is the normal durum wheat is contain 65% starch and 15% protein, which making the by enzyme reaction, it making the amylose and amylopectin and glutamine and glutamase enzymatic reaction to form at the end the structure of gluten network. This is which gives the consistency of the final product for the pasta. But this is not found easily in cassava. So most of the new research advice for added cassava by a composition by percent in the recipe to reduce the consumption of the wheat and in the same time give the same consistency for the gluten network. And if there is any issue, we can share the new paper, technical paper, discuss about this issue.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Madam. Ben, do you have anything to add?
No, I actually don't have much to add. Like, it can be used as an innovative ingredient in pasta production, but like Emad said, you need to combine it with some of the other ingredients or an alternative primary ingredient. So you can infuse it into your pasta. You can use it, so it's possible, but it cannot be used as a standalone ingredient or a standalone primary ingredient at this point in pasta production. So yeah, that's unfortunately not as a primary ingredient, but it can be infused or added as an ingredient into your pasta.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ben. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben and Edmad, for your great answers, and Gabby and also Ben for the wonderful presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us at intelligence@tridge.com. To wrap it up quickly, we had an overview of the innovations and market trends in the global pasta industry, as well as lively discussion on production side of pasta trends and latest consumer demands. I understand it was a lot of information. We cover a lot of ground, but we were really able to get through various informations, various insights in a short amount of time. I repeat myself that the presentation slides will be shared in the follow-up email within 3 business days. Regarding our other services, you can find it in the presentation, our newsletter ban ads, our market brief service. We covered Tridge Pay in previous webinars, and there's more to come from Tridge. Please follow us, like, share, and write us regarding any feedback regarding the webinar. If you want to cover some more topics, please contact us. Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful presentation and great event. Once again, goodbye, everyone. Farewell.
Thank you.